So the burning of the town begins in volume 30 of Berserk. So, very, very simple volume. Like, the straight up, this is a very, very simple volume. I mean, there's a lot going on, but a very simple volume. And I'm willing to bet that this review is actually going to be a little bit shorter than my other type of reviews, because it's a pretty straightforward volume. I mean, it's a lot of action, a lot of battles going on in it, along with, finding out more about Farnese's father, mother, and her brother, along with her, fiancé. We pretty much find out a lot of stuff like that, along with the town starting to burn. So, it's a really straightforward volume. I'm going to be honest, out of all the volumes I've reviewed recently of Berserk, this is by far, I think, the easiest, or the simplest volume I've seen in the past 10 volumes or so. So, anyways, before I begin the volume review, I actually want to show you the, actual, poster, the two posters in here. Here's the poster on this side. You get to see Serpico right there. It looks pretty fucking badass. Look at that shit, dude. That's amazing. And then, you have this one right here. You have the, Daka. You see how they have the tiger on the bottom here. Whoa. You have the tiger on the bottom there, and you have the Daka. That looks pretty badass. So, as always, you gotta love Kentaro's artwork when it comes to Berserk. So, anyways, getting on topic with this volume. The volume starts off exactly where the last volume stopped at. Pretty much you have it to where Serpico and Guts are about to fight, and then the battle begins in this volume. Now, the actual battle, for the most part, it's pretty much the same as round 2, I think, or, yeah, I guess round 1. I'm gonna just say round 1, because technically the first time they crossed swords, it wasn't really a battle. So, round 2, pretty much round 2 of Serpico and Guts' fight was similar. I mean, it was almost exactly similar, besides the aspect of Guts and Serpico fighting in that chamber and having the pillars up to block Guts' sword. So, overall, even though the situation was different from the last situation with Guts being on the cliff and, his actual good arm on the side of the cliff with his, sword, it's still technically the same situation, because Serpico actually, he had the pillars to block Guts' sword, and the momentum to actually win against Guts. With this duel, this fight, clearly from what we can see is that Guts is actually a lot stronger than Serpico, even when Serpico actually used his tactics to beat Guts, because Guts actually bested Serpico without anything at all, and which is quite impressive, because, I mean, he didn't use any of his daggers, his explosives, he didn't use his berserker armor, he didn't use his cannon, so pretty much Guts was just fighting with his sword. And so he was fighting Serpico with just his sword, and he was at a disadvantage with being wounded, along with, missing an arm, and on top of that, pretty much the pillars all around where he can't technically fight. So, Guts was at a massive disadvantage when he fought Serpico, and he still won. So, at the end of the day, we can clearly tell who is the strongest. Guts. Now, you gotta factor in, though, Serpico didn't use anything else either. I mean, he didn't use any of his enchanted wind elementals with his dagger and his, freaking robe or whatever. Pretty much, technically, at the end of the day, Guts is superior. So, you gotta like that. You gotta fucking like that. So, Guts is top dog. We have Farnese's father actually really get an introduction in this volume, and I like that. I like getting to see how Farnese's father really is and how he acts when he is, playing his political power. And I have to say, like, some of the people said in this volume, I did feel the atmosphere from Farnese's father in this volume, and actually, I could see why he's such a respectable man after seeing his presence after what actually happened in this volume. After, technically, these tigers came in to kill all the nobles and everybody, talking about what they were going to do in this holy war against Akushan, you had it to where, actually, Federico, I think that's exactly how you say his name, but Federico, he actually kept a good presence up. Like, he had this presence about him. Even after all this shit went down, this unexpected shit, he was able to actually work everything into his favor where everything was according to plan. So, Federico is pretty much this actual series' Aizen, technically, because, I mean, even though he was in that situation, everything went according to plan a little bit. And I like that. I fucking like that. I loved his presence of how he was able to manipulate everybody to actually believe what he was saying. After the entire ordeal with the fights going on and stuff, after, Guts manhandled those tigers like they were fucking nothing, like, oh my god, dude, he just, fucking ran him. That was just straight up fucking epic. Dude, Guts, man. Gotta love it. Gotta fucking love Guts. Like, he is epic. Like, Guts, man. I love my Guts. I do. And when I saw him wrecking some tigers, I instantly felt like, well, this is some animal cruelty. You get the overall presence with, you know, Frederico and how he acts. And he actually manipulates the entire nobles around him to believe that these, like, demons are what technically Farnese used to fight with. Now, that's actually something I do want to dive into. But before I do that, let's continue on with talking about Frederico, you know, Farnese's father. Pretty much Farnese's father was actually able to manipulate the conversation to where he can actually say, like, oh no, what you saw, the magic you saw and all that type of stuff, what my daughter did, pretty much, that was all an illusion. We were probably drugged by the wine or the fog. For instance, the tigers came in when there was fog, and we did drink. We all drank our drinks. So, most likely, we were all drugged, and we were hallucinating all this magic, the fairies, stuff like that, and then all the nobles pretty much like, oh yeah, I could see what you mean, and along on top of that, he actually put this extra weight on top of the nobles, saying, you know, it's not actually the time for this anyways, because if you were to just start spouting off that you saw fairies, demons, magic to your soldiers, you'd be a laughingstock. So, he manipulated his actual fellow noblemen multiple times. He mind-fucked them. So getting to see that, I'm like, fuck yes. And I like that. I like seeing his character. He's a respectable person. I mean, he's manipulative, yes, but I mean, he's respectable when it comes to his position. He clearly did not get that position because of nothing. He definitely worked for that position. So, I will clap for that man. Able to handle the situation even though these unexplained events actually appeared upon him. Even the tigers, he actually explained. He explained that the tigers most likely were crossbred to look like that, or they were drugged along with that. So, he's got a point, actually. I mean, if you think about it, we found out a couple volumes back that, you know, the Emperor actually, he is putting people, or different people, he's like creating artificial apostles. And so we know for a fact he's probably messing with familiars and different creatures to fuck them up and make an army. So, technically, yeah, I guess he is slightly crossbreeding, the Emperor. So, I guess the, you know, Frederico wasn't that far off when he was actually taking a guess, or, you know, shot at whatever it was. We, once again, get more development with Farnese in this volume, and I have to say, I've said it last volume, and I'm not going to really go back further into it like I said last volume, but once again, more development on top of Farnese, and it's just, I love how Kentaro is really trying to develop her so much. In this, when the tigers jumped in through the window, and all hope pretty much seemed lost, like everybody was about to be fucked and die, even her father, herself, everything. Farnese grabbed a silver candlestick and actually stabbed one of the tigers in the eye. And if it wasn't for that action, what Farnese did, there would have been a lot more lives lost. And so, once again, it just shows you, even though there's these bunch of noble men, all these, you know, heroic men that have high status and nobility and stuff like that, none of them really tried to fight the tiger, besides this one lone girl. And to see that, it just shows you how much change Farnese is from how she used to be when she was a noble. And to see this, it's impressive. It is. And I'm not going to go much into details with it, because like I said, I covered it in the last volume. But to see how she fought that and was the only person to actually stand up and fight the tiger out of all these countless guys, fucking Farnese, you go, girl. Fucking A, man. She is amazing. Farnese gets a new ability. And I like that. It really has something very interesting about it. Like, I like the name of it. For instance, Farnese gets this ring that Shiroke actually gives her. And this ring looks like, you know, thorns, like vines and stuff. And Shiroke gives Farnese a name saying, like, your name is now Mistress of the Thorn Snakes. And I'm like, dude, that sounds pretty badass. Like, majestic. That's a majestic name. And she can actually control these thorn snakes like they're her familiars. And I'm like, damn. So she's going to be, I'm guessing, a mistress or a witch that uses thorn snakes. Or snakes and thorns and vines and shit. Like, probably some type of plant life. And that, I like that. I fucking like that. Because we're getting, once again, more development on top of her to where she can actually defend herself. I mean, Farnese is no longer that babysitter that just babysits Casca. I mean, she's really helpful to the group, as I covered in my last volume review, but now she actually has abilities to where she can actually fight. And to see how she now has these abilities, it's definitely going to help out in the endgame when it comes to the series. So I'm glad Farnese now has an ability to fight, for instance, the Mistress of the Thorn Snakes. Badass name, badass title, good job, Farnese. So, now that I've covered that, let's talk about the other things. Serpico, he gets a little bit of development also, and pretty much it's kind of like a mirror to what has happened to Farnese. Serpico is pretty much exactly similar to when it comes to Farnese in certain situations, like they're two sides to the same coin. That's pretty much what Serpico and Farnese are, and we know they're brother and sister, or half-brother and sister. Well, we find out that Serpico is actually changed also in the course of his journey. Like, he admits in his mind, he doesn't really state that to Guts, but the actual positive change that Farnese has undergone through the course of her journey with Guts has also affected Serpico to where he has changed. And in his act of actually really appreciating what Guts has done for Farnese, he also appreciates it, but he will not let his sister succumb to Guts' rage, for instance, his Berserker armor. So to see this, I was like, damn, that's just like, whoa, getting to see that character development with Serpico. I mean, out of all the characters, when it comes to the journey of, you know, the company with Guts, I think Serpico is one of the characters that's actually received the obvious development. And so, Serpico actually, we find out he has had a lot of development, and he has changed. And to see this, I'm kind of happy too. So that moves past Serpico and Farnese. Guts now. Guts in this volume, pretty much, he's the standard Guts. Beating the shit out of everybody, kicking the shit out of everybody, cutting tigers up, animal cruelty, killing some demons, beating the shit out of demons at the end of the volume. I mean, standard Guts shit. Like, he is just wrecking face, as always. When it comes to Guts, man, you can make a montage with his rake faces, the amount of carnage he makes. I fucking love it. So, that pretty much sums up what Guts did in this volume. Now, we also get some setup with the actual Emperor. The Emperor states that the war has begun. He has pretty much declared war on the infidels in this volume. Like, all you infidels will fucking die. And that's what he says. And so, the town is burning. The Emperor is attacking. We do know that probably Griffith or the Band of Hawks are coming because in the last volume, the medium stated that she already knew that the town was going to get burnt and it shouldn't be really worth saving. So we do know that Griffith is coming, or his Band of Hawks. So the town most likely will be saved eventually. So I wonder if Guts is actually going to meet Griffith or the Band of Hawks while he's here, because we do know they're probably coming. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to finding out if we're going to get to see the Band of Hawks, you know, the Guts. Oh, dude, that'd be fucking interesting. And also on top of that, too, I wonder how Guts is going to react to the Emperor. I mean, the Emperor technically is on his own side. He's by himself. And he's versing all these apostles and Griffith himself, the Hawk of Light. I wonder how, you know, Guts is going to react to that. I wonder if he might join the Emperor's side. I really do. I mean, it'd be really fucked up. I'd be like, whoa! But, I mean, if thinking about it in a literal sense, it would seem logical for Guts to join hands with the Emperor to beat Griffith. It does. The Emperor is fucking strong. He's amazing. I mean, he's a demon king, pretty much. It would make sense for Guts to work with this guy, too. So, maybe we might have something shocking to happen into the future. So, past that, other things. What else happened? Oh, yes, the Pope. The fucking Pope. That Pope, man. That straight-up Pope. Like, you know what I find very ironic about that Pope in this volume? That Pope, man. He's following Griffith. He's gotten a message, a divine message from Griffith, pretty much. He's got a vision. And we do know Griffith probably sent that. And now, my theories I said in volume 17 and 18, remember I talked about how the Holy See was pretty much created by whatever's in the abyss, the idea of evil, whatever it is down there, since it controls all of destiny or fate and stuff, governs fate. It just, with Griffith now technically having control of the Pope, you know what this means? Like, really, think about this, okay? He has the backing of one of the strongest and probably the most noteworthy members of the entirety of probably the world of Berserk when it comes to human class, because the Pope technically has a higher authority than even high-class nobles, probably even higher than Farnese's father. And so, for Griffith to actually have the Pope on his side, he's got a powerful ally, because the Pope can move anybody he wants. If he really wants to start a war, the Pope can say, like, start a holy war, we declare war on this land, we'll kill everybody. I mean, Griffith pretty much has control of this dude. and Griffith would have just cause to kill or go on a crusade to kill people. He would. So to see this, once again, the meddling of the idea of evil or whatever's in the abyss, once again, that's governed fate to where the Holy See is pretty much been made by whatever's in the abyss to control or actually be led by the God Hand. So, I like that. I just, it's very ironic, very fucking ironic. Once again, it's so ironic how they actually follow, technically, I guess God Hand are considered angels, but at the exact same time, they're demons, so it's just very ironic, it is. So, yeah. I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to this volume. So, yeah. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.